Welcome to a Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Dirt Road Roundtable Drive. I'm in an Oregon Bigfoot hotspot. I am following the easement of power lines. A lot of Bigfoot sightings around these easements. A lot of people, including Bobo from Finding Bigfoot, call these power line easements Bigfoot highways. So I'm on a service road at 6 a.m. in a Bigfoot sighting hot spot. We're in the shadow of Mount Hood, and I'm following this easement. I'm looking for some good spots to sit and glass some clearings, ridge lines, look for evidence. Most Bigfoot sightings happen around dusk and around dawn, and I think that's because the creature is nocturnal and there's a little bit of light. People can see the creature right after it gets up for the evening or goes and beds down in the morning. So I'm out here at the crack of dawn looking around, and I hope you guys don't mind long lengths of me not saying crap. I'm just scanning these easement lines. And I still think the creature would stay along the tree line of these easements, but down inside of them there's still plenty of cover. So yeah, enjoy the scenery. If you guys see something that's Bigfooty, give me the timestamp and the frame, upper left, bottom right, middle, whatever. Yeah, I can only look one direction at a time, and this camera never blinks. So you see something, let me know. We're here on a week-long expedition, and I'm a morning person, so I'm out here on the mountain by myself. Jenny's a night owl. So yeah, I left her back at camp since she was up all night. She has the good eye for game. A lot of times she'll spot the game before I will and direct my attention on it. However, saying that, both of my Bigfoot sightings where it was clear and open enough, I can say without a doubt that's what I saw in 2021 and 2018. She was with me both times. Yeah, she was driving one of the times, and I was in the passenger seat, and I sat and stared it down for about 10 seconds as we were pulling over and me grabbing a camera. She didn't see that one. And then the other one, the most recent one in 2021, it was standing about 35-40 feet behind my car. Looked at it in my rear view mirror, and then it ran into the forest, so it was behind us. She's good at spotting game, but she has not seen a Bigfoot clear and open enough to know without a doubt she was like 18 or 19 years old. She and a bunch of people got harassed by a Bigfoot at a remote cabin in the Uintas. Now, they thought it was a person in dark clothing, head to toe, that was throwing branches and slapping the side of the cabin and harassing them all. Just thought it was a crazy person up in the mountains. And now in hindsight, her and Brody is like, that was probably a Bigfoot. So she may very well have saw one, just misidentified it as a crazy person that wanted to get shot. I mean, come on, you're in a remote cabin area, slapping the side of the cabin, chucking branches up onto the porch and against the windows of the cabin. Sounds like a real crazy person that's putting their life on the line. So yeah, may very well have been Bigfoot. Yeah, that all went on after dark. But they saw the creature moving around at the edge of the forest line, and just crazy. Right. Our goal is to get clear open footage with the camera though, so both my sightings were disappointed for the fact that I was unable to get a camera on either one of them before it was gone. Yeah, I had this dash camera you guys are watching from. Unfortunately, it does not point backwards. I have thought about getting one of those that points backwards since that happened. I don't even think I'd clicked over the ignition on my vehicle, so I don't think the camera was on anyway by the time I saw it and it split. Yeah, this area is really remote as far as like cell service. I don't hardly get any cell service up here at all. I mean, this entire drive I haven't had not even a single bar. Even in the daytime, these forests are thick and dark. Trees are tall. Thick, dark forest and hairy trees. Lots of moss on the trees. Doing some research about this area. There's been like 130 people that have died trying to get to the top of Mount Hood since they started doing it a couple hundred years ago, whatever. There's also groups of people that have tried getting to the top that have just disappeared without a trace, never seen again. And then the surrounding forests in the Pacific Northwest, around the Mount Hood area, lots of disappearances where the people are never seen or heard from again. Now, there are some people that think that perhaps Bigfoot has something to do with some of these disappearances. Me, I think, mountain lions, bears, and even other people are probably the biggest culprits, but maybe a small percentage of them, maybe they do get abducted by Bigfoot. Just for the simple fact, in the Pacific Northwest, like Ostman and this native guy named Harry Mukala, both of them were abducted by Bigfoot, and both of them were able to escape and tell their story. And then people that know them, people that have interrogated them, say that they were telling the truth. At least they thought they were telling the truth. So that's right there, showing that Bigfoot possibly abducts people from time to time. And both of them being abducted and kept for a little while by a group of Sasquatch, they felt like a novelty item. And they didn't know if they were being kept as a pet or possibly for dinner. And so they really wanted to escape in case they were actually being held as a dinner item. So I keep that in the back of my head when I hear about abductions and Bigfoot sighting hotspots. Jenny and I, a few years ago, we were in Oregon on a mountain range that follows one side of the Rogue River. And we were there during salmon season because we had some reports of people having Bigfoot encounters during the salmon run. As a matter of fact, a guy that had caught some salmon and had a Bigfoot encounter, he laid the salmon down for the Bigfoot in hopes that it would take the salmon and leave him alone, which it did. Well, anyway, we were up by Silver Creek and we were getting Bigfoot activity. And that wasn't our base camp area. We were away from base camp, up on the mountain, and wood knocks, grunts, screams, hoops, just everything was crazy. We hiked around to try and see if we could get, a picture or footage. I mean, Bigfoot in the area and stuff. And after a little while, all that stopped, and we finally gave up on it. And it was getting dark, getting, late. So we decided to head off the mountain. And right after we left, we got a flat tire. And then all of a sudden, the second tire started going flat. 2 flat tires at the same time. Checked them out and didn't really know which one to use to fix a flat in, so I kind of flipped a coin, put a fix a flat in one of the tires, and it didn't work because the puncture was too big. So that didn't work. I have a tire pump that plugs into the cigarette lighter or whatever they call them these days. When I was a kid, they called them cigarette lighters. I had to pull over about every 15 minutes and pump up the one tire. The other tire, we traded it out with the spare. And that was the best out of the two. That would last about 15 minutes before we had to put more air in it. But I just did not want to stay the night on the mountain after getting that Bigfoot activity, and we damn near had to with the double flat. Okay, the next day, yeah, we limped back. It took a few hours to get back to base camp, having to keep pulling over and pumping up that tire. And you know, by the time I got to base camp, it was just too late to go get a tire repair. So I waited till the next morning, and I went down to Gold Beach, Oregon, got those tires repaired. And as a matter of fact, the one that I used to fix a flat on was damaged so badly I had to buy a replacement. One of the service guys that was working on my vehicle, he recognized me from our YouTube videos. He started telling me, you know, hey, check here, check there, there's people see Bigfoot here and there. And I just wanted him to go on with his stories and tell me everything. But all the places he was telling us to go, we had already been. We'd been there for just about a week when we got those 2 flats. But I was like, hey, I'm going to the right places. The locals telling me, check here, check there. And I already been to those places. Well, he also said, hey, one of my friends is really going to want to meet you. Let me go grab him. So we went and grabbed this older guy with the shaven head. And this guy was probably about 10 years older than I am. And that guy talked about his grandfather helped build Highway 5 through like Northern California and through Oregon and goes up into Washington. But he said that, you know, hey, my grandpa saw the footprints, and you know, that overturned some of their heavy equipment, and carried off barrels of fuel and chucked them into ravines. And you know, so his grandpa talked about getting harassed by Bigfoot during the construction of Highway 5, which I thought was cool because that's, you know, there's a lot of television documentaries and old newspaper articles and stuff about that going on back then. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, we do keep emergency things like blankets, fire making stuff, blah 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 blah. We keep stuff like that in our vehicle in case we have to stay the night somewhere unexpected, and it's happened before. We went to go see a solar eclipse in the mountains in Nevada. We picked a spot where we wanted to see it in the mountains, and then we got a hotel room. I planned months and months ahead for this eclipse, and so we got a hotel room, and we show up, and they're like, oh, you don't have a reservation. And I'm showing them my paper receipt that I printed off, and I'm like, oh, I've got a reservation. You guys ain't doing this to me. And they're like, nope, you're not in our system. Something happened to our system. And there was like a dozen people that were in the same boat as me in that lobby, that something had happened to their rooms. Now what I think happened is all of us that planned way ahead and got rooms way ahead, we got them for the normal rate. And I think the owners, whatever, it's like, oh my gosh, we can jack up the prices. And so, whoops, something happened to the computer. We lost all these reservations, and now they can charge double, triple, whatever. So anyway, we got turned away. Scumbags. So, and gosh, it was so damn cold, but we went into the mountains where we wanted to see the eclipse and stayed the night in the car. But we have a couple emergency blankets, this and that. We started a fire outside of the vehicle and enjoyed a fire into the night and all that. But anyway, it's happened to us before. the eclipse was awesome. It was totally worth freezing the night. Of course, we picked a place in the mountains that had some Bigfoot sightings to film the eclipse. That's our thing, visiting Bigfoot sighting locations, Bigfoot sighting hotspots. This road looks like shit, so I think I'm gonna go up it. It's fun going onto the roads that are least traveled. Every time I see a crappy one-lane dirt road, I'm always like, where does that go? Yeah, I've already stopped a couple of times and glassed with my camera where you get a good overlook of the area. So I have a wide area and lots of opportunity. That's what my uncles and dad and grandparents taught me when I was a kid, deer hunting and elk hunting. I kind of used the same tactics looking for Bigfoot. And one of the best times I found to hunt is to get out there before the sun comes up and be looking in the early mornings. And then, of course, we would go out in the evening. Go out in the evening before the sun goes down, just before the sun goes down. Of course, after the sun officially goes down, you're not allowed to deer or elk hunt, or there's not many things you can hunt after dark. Some places allow you to spotlight hunt coyote. Something else that I like to watch for is the edges of the road. They're standing water or mud. Keep an eye for tracks. Sounds like a needle in the haystack, but there's been many occasions where we have actually found Bigfoot tracks that way, and then hiked into the forest following the tracks. The biggest percentage of Bigfoot tracks we have found, though, is when we're actually out hiking. But I am by myself, so I am not gonna hike very far from the vehicle being alone. You're more you're more likely, I mean, I believe that mountain lion attacks are rare, but who knows? A lot of these people that disappear without a trace may be killed and drug off by mountain lions. Who knows? Maybe a bigger problem than officials let on or that we know. Mountain lion attacks. However, you're more likely to get attacked by a mountain lion when you're alone. Which makes sense. They're really smart. They see two of you out there and they're like, oh crap, 2 on 1, yeah. I'm not gonna take my chances. But yeah, an ambush predator attacking from behind. He nails you really good from behind. You may never get a chance to fight back. Yeah, I used to hike all the time by myself. And then there was one night that Jenny and I were with 2 of our kids, and we had a black bear come up behind us. Who knows how long it had been following us before we noticed that it was following us. And then another time, me, Jenny, and 3 of my friends, some really big, boisterous dudes, and I talked them into helping me service a couple of game cameras at night in Sasquatch Canyon. And we had a mountain lion follow us around for a little while, and it just kept getting closer and closer, and really freaked my friends out. And yeah, it freaked me out too. Not as bad as them, but after that I was like, yeah, there was 5 grown people, and we're yelling at it, spotlighting it and stuff, and it still kept pacing back and forth, flicking its ears, coming closer and closer. And I'm just like, gosh, it's usually just Jenny and I would have attacked, and if I was alone during the day or night would have attacked. So after that, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna be stupid anymore. I'm not gonna do these solo hikes anymore. At least if we get attacked, there's 2 of us that can bear spray, other things, other types of protection we bring, help each other out. Don't know if you guys have ever watched this show. It's called I Am Prey. Each episode's usually 2 different types of attacks. A water attack and a land attack. And one of the best ways to stop an attack after watching the show is to poke the predator in the eye. It's got a hold of you, grab a stick, your thumb or whatever, and poke them in the eye, because a lot of these people that have been attacked and survived and stuff, there's a lot of them that stop the attack by poking the predator in the eye. I know, and there's a lot of people that are like, well, I pack. That's not going to happen to me. But yeah, you get ambushed. Whatever you're packing may be stuck in your holster while you're getting munched on. So I've actually seen some bear attacks in Montana. Interviews with the people that got attacked, and they've had a firearm in their hand and had it knocked out. The attack happened so fast that they were unable to use it, or they get pinned down, and so it's not a guarantee. Alright, I think I see something. I see some snaps and looks like some footprints nearby. I'm just gonna check this out real quick. Yeah, when the vegetation's growing over the road, over the edges of the road, you can tell that it's not used that often. Not used as often as most. Well, if you guys have had a Bigfoot encounter, I want to hear about it. Tell us about it in the comments or email us at rmsobigfoot@gmail.com. You know, I love to get brand new sighting reports. Hey, this happened to me 3 hours ago. This happened to me yesterday. This happened to me last week. Yeah, those are cool, but there's a lot of people that won't send their sightings because it's like, oh, this happened 10 years ago. This happened 30 years ago. I don't care. I just love the history of Bigfoot activity, and so I want to hear your reports, whether it was last week or 100 years ago. I want to hear about it, so please send those to us. It's nice to get a picture of what's going on in certain areas, the places that Bigfoot's using annually or all the time or passing through. This forest is thick and dark. I've been looking for like a clearing overlook area so I could sit and glass the greater area down below, and just haven't found anything like that. Not since I started talking to you guys. This is a really squatchy area for sure. You know, there's a lot of people that stereotype that if I'm going to find Bigfoot, if I'm going to have a sighting or catch him on camera, I've got to go to the most remote place. Remote. Well, if you study Bigfoot sighting reports, it's not always a remote place. People see them at the edge of communities, forest communities, sometimes not far from towns or cities, and yeah, I don't think Bigfoot read a manual that it has to stay in the most remote areas. A Bigfoot's going to do what a Bigfoot needs to do to survive, and of course, one of the things they need to do to survive is to avoid humanity for the most part. However, if their travel route that they need to take or their food source is on the edge of town, they're going to take advantage of that. Of course, they're going to do most of their activity at night where they're less likely to be seen, and that's because, in my opinion, they're nocturnal. One of the reasons why people see the eye glow, eye shine of a Bigfoot is because they have nocturnal eyes. A lot of animals are most active at night, nocturnal. Mountain lions, bobcats, black bears. So it really makes sense for Bigfoot to be nocturnal. However, on nice cool days like this, overcast, a little bit of a drizzle here and there, it's nice and cool, so the animals are more active, and I think Bigfoot would be more active on a day like this too. Okay. I feel like I'm at the end of the road here. See what's going on. Around the corner from here, it gets worse, and there is snow. And I've got a place that I can turn around right here. So, no need to get up into that crap. Yep, I don't want to have to try and turn around in some snow banks. So that worked. What an amazing area. I'm going to walk around a little bit right here, see if I can see any tracks at the edge of the forest. Bigfoot activity looks like a good spot to check out for a little while.